session of this forum this afternoon. All right, thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Like we said, we're about to get into the second session. Please, wherever you are, would like to have you back into the hall. If you can hear the sound of my voice and you're still outside, this is to let you know that we're getting ready to start the second session of this Benue, the very first edition of the Benue Local Investors Forum this afternoon. All right. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please, wherever you are, if you are outside and you can hear the sound of my voice, would like to let you know that we're ready for the second sessions, for the second phase of this forum or this activity this afternoon. Please, wherever you are, would like to let you know that we want you to come back into the hall as we get ready to start. Our panelists are ready, and in no time we'll be introducing them and inviting them to step forward, and we can get into the panel session immediately. Please, if you're still outside, this is to let you know that we're ready to start. Kindly find your way back into the hall as we get ready to start. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are beginning the next session. We go around everybody. Please, let's not go about this important, but let's just do panel. Please, those of you who are outside, your break time is over. You know, business people are time conscious. And they say time is what? Time is what? Let's not waste our time. Please come inside now. Let us wrap this up very quickly. We have an audience that is online, and they've taken out their time to also give to this. So please, let's not keep them waiting for too long. I'm very sure we all have very busy schedules, so that we'll finish here and go and tidy up some other things. So we're commencing the first panel discussion, which is on agriculture. We're bringing in 4 experts to discuss a topic that was coined agriculture investment, feeding the nation and beyond. If you recall, agriculture is a mainstay of Benue, and Benue is the food basket of the nation. So how do we explore the issue agriculture investment and feed not only Benue State but the nation and beyond? To make justice to this topic are 4 discussants. We have L0CAL, who is the Diaspora Partnership Manager at L0CAL in Lagos. She's joining the panel discussion from the virtual link. So the media team, if she's there, please display her so we can see her. L0CAL, you are welcome to this. Mr. John Pilaku is also joining us virtually. He is the Executive Director, African Capacity Development and Sustainability Initiative. He has years and years of experience in agriculture value chain and nutrition. He's going to bring that to bear in this discussion. The other discussant is a farmer per excellence, Chief David Adulugba. He is the Group Chairman of King D Nigeria Limited. Chief, are you here? Chief David is here. Please usher him to the table. Usher him to the ushers. That's Chief David by your far right. Please bring him over. Bring him over. Please clap for him as he's coming to share his knowledge with us. Chief David Ibrahim was the former Executive Secretary of Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC. You're welcome to the stage. Another round of applause for him. So what you're going to be experiencing today is huge knowledge base. He will probably share with us what we are missing in Benue in terms of agricultural export. Thank you, sir. Thank you and welcome. And then finally, but in no way the least, is Dr. Godwin Atse, who is the Country Director of Sasakawa Africa Association, headquartered in Kano. Please, can you give him a round of applause? Dr. Godwin Atse likes to be called the farmer. So he spends all his time developing the cassava value chain of late. He's going to bring huge experience from within and without on this discussion. Finally, I'd like to introduce the person who is going to anchor this discussion and make it flow. He's no other person. Sorry, can you sit by the red chair? Thank you. Thank you, sir. It's no other person than Mr. Leonard Angelo Viashima, the Director General, Benue State International Cooperation and Development Coordination Unit in the Governor's Office. He has several years in the development space. And of late, he has been engaging multinationals on developing the agricultural value chain in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome via Shima to the panel discussion. Okay. So, because we took so much time in the break, we're going to give the panel 30 minutes to explore this, and I yield the mic and hand over to the media team. Media team, are there microphones at the panel? Okay, we yield the mic and pass it to the anchor. Okay, that's fine. So over to you, sir. So these microphones are supposed to be working, really. They'll come and set it up, no problem.
What am I to do?
No, not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. I'll be moderating the session.
All right. Distinguished friends, ladies and gentlemen, agriculture definitely, as shared with most of the speakers today, is clearly both at the Sweden level and at the keynote speakers level. We had found out that agriculture is one of our key strengths, and one of that area where Benue has strong potentials in terms of growth. To discuss agriculture with the team Feeding the Nation and Beyond, as introduced, I have with me here L0CAL. L0CAL is the Diaspora and Partnership Manager. The Diaspora and Partnership Manager at L0CAL, Lagos. I don't know if she's here so that we can recognize her. Can the media team put her up on the screen? I just want to be sure we have her on the panel. Then also joining us online is Mr. John Pilaku, the Executive Director, African Capacity Development and Sustainability Initiative in Abuja. Mr. John Pilaku is a seasoned development expert and someone who has contributed immensely in the agri sector. He'll be joining us also online. I don't want to be speaking to myself, so I want to be sure they are online. Can someone confirm that the two online guests are available right now? Can someone confirm that the two online guests are available online? All right, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, until I get that confirmation, I might be working more with the panelists that I have here. I might be working more with the panelists that I have here. And here with me, I have to my right, Dr. Godwin Atse, the country director of Sasakawa Africa Association. Dr. Godwin Atse is the country director of a leading agricultural development organization, leading some of the greatest agro investments and innovations in northern Nigeria. Most significant is where you see their impact in Niger State, you see their impact in Nasarawa State, and heavily you see their impact in Kano State. Please, I'd like us to put our hands together for Dr. Godwin Atse. On the panel with me also is the group chairman King D Nigeria Limited, Chief David Ibrahim Adeluba. Please put your hands together for Chief David Ibrahim. To delve into the concept of agriculture being feeding the nation and beyond, I'd like to put the first question to Dr. Godwin Atse. And my question, basically, looking at the concept of feeding the nation and beyond, to Dr. Godwin Atse will be, how can collaborations between local investors, government agencies, and non-governmental organizations enhance the overall impact of agricultural investment in Benue State? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Leonard, for the question. This morning we had a very good conversation about the role of agriculture. And I think I will take a step back to actually situate our conversation in context. Because today we know that the issue of food security is quite topical. And for us in Benue State, agriculture is one of our comparative advantages. It is a sector that can actually help Benue to develop itself. It's unfortunate that the way we look at agriculture in this part of the continent is sometimes looked at a sector that is for the peasant farmers. I think that narrative needs to change a bit. If you go to the United States or Canada and you introduce yourself as a farmer, everybody respects you because most of them are those that have private jets. But unfortunately, agriculture has not been fully explored here in Nigeria. And that is the same narrative that we have here in Benue. But the circumstances that are happening today gives us an opportunity that we need to actually take. And what are some of these circumstances? Today, the salaries of staff, the salaries of workers, more than 90% is spent on food. The other day I was in a supermarket and a bag of rice is selling for more than 50,000. The minimum wage is not up to that. So it means that we need to do something quickly. That is an opportunity. It is a problem, but it is an opportunity. Today, if you go to a restaurant and you want to eat something good, with a friend, you spend more than 10,000 naira. And if you are a salary earner, you can't survive feeding outside. So we need, all of these are pointers that we should go back to agriculture. Unfortunately, we have a problem, or we have a challenge. And this challenge is the issue of low productivity. For us to be competitive, and I think I have to reiterate this point, because it was mentioned earlier. But sometimes we do not understand it. If you want to be nationally competitive or globally competitive, then you need to see how you address the problem of low productivity. It's very crucial. And the example is this. Today we are talking about cassava. Benue is the highest producer of cassava. But what is the yield per hectare that our farmers are getting? It is less than 10 tons per hectare. If you look at other countries like Thailand, for a hectare, a farmer gets more than 20 tons per hectare, sometimes 30 tons per hectare. And that is why in 1999 or so, when we got the export permit to China to export cassava chips, which was, by the way, a $5 billion market, Nigeria could not export 1 truck of cassava chips. And the reason is because, or was because, and is because, we cannot compete. Why Thailand can export to China? Because their farmers are getting 30 tons per hectare or 40 tons per hectare. Their cost of production goes down. Our farmers cannot export. Then I will situate that also in the context of Benue. And then I hand over the mic to you, please. If you look at when we had the ethanol factory here 2-3 years ago, the concern was that where are we going to get cassava? Because our yield per hectare is not enough. And I remember quite very well, there was a campaign that, look, farmers should not sell to the factory. This is just one industry. And everybody was in a state of panic. As I speak to you today, 50% of the raw materials that goes to that factory is not from Benue. It comes from other states. And the reason is because we have not addressed the productivity question. And therefore, organizations like us, Sasakawa Africa Association, we've been here for more than 30 years working with the farmer. What we are doing is to see how we first address the issue of productivity enhancement. And therefore, working in partnership becomes very key for us to collaborate with farmers, the state, and all the actors in the value chain to ensure that we lift the productivity and make Benue State competitive, both nationally and globally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Godwin Atse. I think the high point of the conversation that he shared were basically around collaborations. No matter how strong you put collaborations with NGOs and the local partners, if productivity is not the main objective at the end of the day for any farmer, we might as much do that to any extent but never get the results that will begin to trickle down the cash or the entrepreneurial component of agribusiness, as it were. Thank you very much. We have a very wonderful gentleman here with us on the panel, and this is Dr. Ibrahim. I'd like to ask, sir, that stemming also from the discussions earlier today and discussions around here, and most importantly around insecurity, the major actors around insecurity are the youths, young people. Major members of this audience today are below the age of 50 or 45. How do we make agribusiness attractive to young people? And what sort of incentives do you think will keep the young people in this business? And are there rules that you feel if government enact or policies that government put in place, it will make the youths embrace agribusiness and take it to the next level that is expected in Benue State? Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have heard the question he asked me. And this question, I must say, is one of the issues that have bothered me for a very long time. Because one day, the millennials, which we are now calling the Gen Zs, from 25 to 45, over 90% of them are not employed. Over 90% of them are doing nothing. Over 60% of them are well educated, and their eyes have opened, and they see us, those in government, as oppressors. So one day, we may not be able to contain them. And they are the ones that we are supposed to be working for. The question is this. Is it closer? All right, thank you. The question is this. If we are to tell ourselves the truth, because somebody said earlier in the course of the day, that we have come to rub minds with each other to tell ourselves the truth. There is nothing to hide. I have a report here. It's a Food and Agri Organization of the United Nations. They conducted a study ranging from between December 2020 and August 2021. They made a survey of 16 states in Nigeria. Unfortunately, Benue State came in it as in very critical poverty situation. This is very alarming. This is very alarming. In the days about 1992 to 1993, I was proud to be in the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. In Munich, in Germany, our Benue oil, which is the Taraco mills now, won the gold medal in the world. Gold medal in the world for being the best oil in the world, 100% cholesterol free. You can now imagine my pain when I became the chief executive of that organization to find out that not only is that factory not working, we do not even have soya beans anymore that you can count on. We have received orders, just as Dr. Ase said, we have received orders for soya beans, 3 million tons, and we could not supply anything. We didn't have the capacity anymore. So what is happening to our people? How far have we fallen, and how far will we continue to fall? In looking at it, I think there is a need for us to invite ourselves to begin to name ourselves one after the other, to stand up and do what is right. As Dr. Ase said, everybody thinks that farming is only for the poor, and that is very, very wrong. In the developed world, the big men, the rich men, those ones who fly their jets all over the world, they are farmers. If we do not change that perspective to know that the farmer is a rich man, if you have not eaten, you'll be hungry, and you are an angry person, and there's a problem. We need to change that perspective immediately. And that is to empower our itinerant farmers in the villages. We need to empower them. Between 1992 and 1993, the World Survey for Agriculture showed that Benue State came first in 7 different products. 7. One of them, sesame seed. Sesame seed. The other, yams, cassava, soya bean, and a few others. You can imagine our hearts when we appear at the international market and somebody tells you, can you please supply us Benue seed? It is very embarrassing. Now that we go there, you will not find anybody who can supply Benue seed. Do you know Benue seed? The generic name is sesame seed. Benue seed means Benue seed. That is what is quoted at the international market, Benue seed. It comes number 1. Now how do we lose it? Benue seed is completely white and very oily. Because we were not giving attention to it, Nasarawa State shifted it and began to produce more than us. But incidentally, if you take the Benue seed and the Nasarawa seed, the difference is very clear. The seed has a color, it's ash, slightly ash, and it's slightly dryish. Their seed has the same quality with the seeds you find in FCT, in three area councils of FCT. That is in Kwale, in Kuje, and in Buare. But even then, they don't even have that quantity as we have here. We had to conduct another survey, and we persuaded Olam International, to provide us the seedlings. They gave us 20 tons, which I remember we brought here, and through our council, we distributed it to the 23 local governments. Yeah. Just to boost it up. They never carried it forward again after that. Ladies and gentlemen, Benue seed is an international product. We lost our chance to Nasarawa State. Nasarawa State were overtaken by Bauchi State. As at today, Bauchi State is the highest producer of that commodity. But then at the international market, they still prefer the Benue seed, which is Benue seed, generic sesame seed. And this is a three-month crop. What stops all of us from doing a 3-month crop? What stops the government from providing land for the 3-month crop? The land here, other people cannot compete with us because our soil is both very rich, very sandy, and promptly it produces the best worldwide. It is for us to encourage our youth. Each person should be having the Benue seed farm. Each person household should have the Benue seed farm. What is the problem? Why have we relegated it? I am unable to understand why soya bean is not even available anymore. I am a poultry farmer. Yeah. I have a farm in Abuja. Let's wrap up. To get soya bean to mix up, to get with the concentrate, is a challenge now. You have to go looking for soya bean as far as Saminaka. It doesn't make sense anymore. You know the cost of a ton of soya bean? Let's wrap up. It's becoming more expensive by the day. We continue to reduce the quantity of our beds because they have become more expensive. And this thing grows very, very well in Benue State, particularly in Zone A and B. Why are we not encouraging the youth to take this as a challenge? We have allowed ourselves to be fighting each other. I don't know whether it's politics, which is the biggest industry in Benue State. We have abandoned this, and now the youths are now suffering. Ladies and gentlemen, yes. Only a few days ago, I received a report of Egypt overtaking Nigeria. Egypt is 96% desert. 96% desert. So what are we doing? We have fallen so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the fact that we do have a lot of passion for this. And Dr. Ibrahim, thank you very much for this. I'd like to ask the organizers to please choose to either allow the panel work, but the kitchen is really making a lot of noise. The kitchen can serve without the noise we are hearing. Hello? Hello? Please, can the organizers go to the kitchen? It's a lot of noise there. We can serve the food without the noise. This is an academic exercise. Let us not be like the person who is selling his birthright with the pot of porridge. The summary of the whole conversation from our panelists here was the fact that there are so many opportunities that the youth can engage themselves with. There are so much gaps out there. There's a lot of demand for most of the products that Benue State is known to be leading in its production. We need young people to catalyze the production of those crops, such as soybeans, such as the sesame seed, and the other crops that he mentioned. It is a factor of driving in our communities and seeing how the young people can take this up and make it an activity of pride. He's also saying that a lot of young people are seeking opportunities that are maybe to them, opportunities that bring pride to them. Agriculture should be an activity of pride to everyone in this room. We'll have panelists who are online. I understand they are online now, so please, if John Pilaku and our sister, Dr. Everin, is also online, please, can we project them, or they can just say hi so that we know. So the next question goes to John Pilaku. Okay, they'll be speaking without the video, yeah? All right, so John Pilaku is a seasoned development expert. He has worked beyond Benue State. He has worked internationally and locally. One thing I know John brings to the table is a lot of experience in explaining to us how does the current economic landscape in Benue State present opportunities for him. Okay. So I would like to come back to Dr. Godwin Atse. Regenerative agriculture. I hear Chief David Ibrahim, and as I was listening to him talk, the idea of regenerative agriculture came to mind. Please take the next 5 minutes, talk to us about regenerative agriculture and the possible impact of regenerative agriculture on the Benue landscape.
All right. The concept of regenerative agriculture is basically a system approach of growing crops such that you increase productivity, but at the same time you are mindful of soil health. So, and this is because of the experiences that came from so this is as a result of the different agricultural transformations that actually happen across the world. If you remember, there was the first grain revolution, perhaps that was in Europe and America and the UK. That one came and was gone. Then there was also another grain revolution that happened in Mexico, the Latin America, and they had theirs, and also another grain revolution that happened in Asia. Now, when you look at the history of all these grain revolutions, one thing was very common. The use of inputs, say fertilizers and also pesticides. There was a lot of abuses of these inputs. Now, apart from increasing productivity, this also brought to the fore new challenges in terms of health. For instance, soil water was contaminated. Now, Africa is on its verge of having its own grain revolution. We expect that to happen shortly. Now, for that to happen, we need to learn from the mistakes of the previous green revolutions that actually happened. And that is why the concept of regenerative agriculture has now been put in place, such that if we are going to use inputs, to what extent do we use such inputs in such a way that they don't become detrimental to the environment and even the soil? Because if your soils are degraded, then it takes millions of years for you to reclaim those soils. So the concept of regenerative agriculture is being pushed at this moment that Africa is on its verge of having a green revolution, such that we do not make the mistakes of the past. Now, there is a slight difference between regenerative agriculture and organic agriculture, because regenerative agriculture to some extent allows the farmer to use inputs such as fertilizers and even pesticides, but in the right quantity, but also looking at the right source. So this is the slight difference. Why the organic proponents, they are pushing that, look, if you are going organic, let's not use inputs at all. Now, if Africa does not use inputs, how can we achieve our own green revolution? This is the question that several people are asking. So, in Sasakawa Africa Association, we have chosen the model of regenerative agriculture as one of the pillars for our own kind of agricultural transformation that we work with the farmers. So we promote things like the use of compost. We promote things like the use of green manure, for instance, and all of this. We also promote the use of biochar, so that these are things that you can prepare in your house and can actually use on the farm. And they can help in enhancing the soil fertility. So that is the concept of regenerative agriculture. Now, but apart from the component of regenerative agriculture which we are promoting, one other thing that is very critical, and is also very critical for us here, is that we need to look at agriculture as a system approach. So you need to also think about the market. We need to see how we can convince, or we can do a mindset reorientation of the farmers, of the young people, to begin to see agriculture more than just production of food, but also how they can market it. And there are a lot of value chains that young people can actually go into. They can go into things like transport. They can go into things like processing. All of these, or even ICT in agriculture. You can specialize on those areas, because agriculture is all-encompassing. And these are some of the things that we are doing in Sasakawa, using the market approach, making farmers to begin to think as business people, such that when they produce, they should also be in a position to serve, not to grow to feed themselves alone, but also to grow for the market. Think about the market. If I'm going to grow soybean, where is the market? If I want to export, do I have all the necessary certification? Or who do I need to contact ahead of time that can help me in order to achieve that? Another critical thing that we need to also think about as we look at agricultural transformation in Benue State is to think about how can we become nutrition sensitive. Today, nutrition is a big issue. It is either we are getting too fat, too obese, or we are getting malnourished. On both sides, they have consequences. So you have more people getting diabetic, or you're getting more people, suffering from nutrition. These are some areas that Benue State, if we come out of this meeting, we should begin to have a strategy to think about how do we make our agricultural production in the state to be nutrition sensitive, that it addresses the nutritional needs of the people. Mind you, today the drugs are very expensive. It is very expensive to buy drugs to maintain yourself. So you need to think about the kind of food that you consume such that you can have a healthy population as a state. 3 things again for us in Sasakawa, if you give me 1 minute, I can mention, is that we are also beginning to see that for us to achieve sustainable development, we need to bring on board women. We need to deliberately bring on board the young people. So development in agriculture must be all inclusive. And then the concept of digitization. Today, we are thinking of linking people from Lagos and Abuja to be part of this conference. How can we push for digitization such that our ecosystem is fully digitalized with regards to agriculture? One thing that I would like this conference to actually push forward is the extension system. And I must say that when I visited the extension department of the state, the Benue State Agriculture and Rural Development Authority, BENADA, I was saddened because today as we speak, that organization is almost dead because there has been no recruitment. If we are talking about agriculture and we want to bring shared prosperity to the people of Benue State, we need to think about how we can revive that institution, because all over the world you cannot achieve any agricultural transformation if you don't have a strong extension system that connects research with the farmer. The research output needs to get to the farmer, and the people that do that, they are the extension people. So the government of Benue State, I appeal to you, let us work together, and Sasakawa can come in. We have started training some extension people in the state. Unfortunately, we can't even get people to train at Sasakawa. Most of them are people that came in through the Empower program. So I encourage the government of Benue State to put a lot of attention to the extension department. Let us see how we can develop that unit. Let it be like the BENADA of old, so that it can be able to deliver the technologies to farmers. Agriculture is like you buying an iPad, or you buying a Mac, or you buying an iPhone. Yes, you can have the iPhone, but if you don't know how to use the iPhone, somebody with a Palasa phone can do a much better job than you. And for us to achieve that, we need to see how we transform the extension system, and this is one of the submissions I want to make. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much once again. Dr. Godwin Atse is the country director of L0CAL. I'd like to announce to you, sir, that the concern you raised about Bernarda, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Benue State, is aware of that. And to that extent, as a way of ensuring efficiency and productivity at that agency, he has appointed Engineer Ninga as the new DG for that, for Bernarda. And it's my humble expectation that he's listening in on this program and is able to take up some of the recommendations you've also made. Regenerative agriculture is something that for young startups is encouraging for them to embrace this. It's efficient, it's cost effective, and even for the young person is also minimizes waste in the process. I understand Evelyn is online. We will be taking her, but I assure you that the next 10 minutes will be wrapping up this session. Please give me the signal. Is Evelyn online? Evelyn Ichoka, is she online? While we're waiting for her, I'd like to ask Chief David Ibrahim, insecurity. What is the impact of insecurity on agriculture? We'll try to wrap up, so please 3 minutes. Can she? All right. You're welcome to this segment, Everin. Thank you very much. And sorry for the technical issues we experienced earlier. I'd like to say that as someone who supports the Diaspora Partnership for your organization, could you speak to us about technology and innovations in agriculture and the potential this holds for the Benue person?
Can the moderator hear me? Can the audience hear me? Online community for confirming that you can hear me. I think we have lost connection with the organizers. So let's wait and see if they will fix that problem.
Can the online community chat her that we are listening to her? All right, Everin, I can hear you. I don't know if you heard the question the first time, but the question is, can you share with us how does technology and innovation impact agriculture in Benue State? While technology is going on, I'd like to come back to Chief David Ibrahim. Please, quite briefly, the impact of insecurity on agriculture in Benue State. Right now, as you're aware, Benue State is in that space where we're regaining our security.
So what do we need to do to sustain the security here, and how does this impact on agriculture and productivity?
Thank you very much. There is no doubt that the insecurity is very, very serious. People are afraid to go to the farms, particularly farms that are even far away from their homes. And those are places where the land is even bigger for them to farm and bring out more productivity. People are afraid. And I believe strongly that His Excellency is tackling that issue at the moment. And I know that the Chief of Army Staff was in Benue not long ago. Why that is going on, if you go to the supermarket here, any supermarket in Nigeria, you will see that at the tea sections have all been overtaken by Ahmad tea from London with different flavors. In fact, they have suppressed our normal Lipton tea. Every woman in her house should be able to grow some herbs, parsley, cinnamon, all of them. So, yes, there are a variety of this that grows by the side of a house. And in Abuja, there is a lady that supplies even passion fruit, all this fresh. Early in the morning, she brings them in big baskets, and the early people who come in, they rush it. If you don't find, then you go and buy the normal tea at the supermarket. These are health foods that our youths can grow around the house. There is no reason why women should be buying tomato from the market. I have not seen the reason for it, honestly. Because my wife is a veterinary doctor, but beside our house, she grows all she needs for her kitchen. The pepper, the bell pepper, the ordinary pepper, all of them, she has various names for them. And if you look at the mint, the scent leaf, the mint leaf, they are very cheap to grow. And every woman should be able to do that. Every young man should be able to have that and take them to the market. We are talking about curbing insecurity. We are talking about curbing poverty. We must rise up to these challenges, not just to sit down. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'd like to ask Dr. Godwin Atse, for the farmers that are in this room, I'd like you to share with us if there are existing models in agribusiness that the intending agripreneur that is in this room or the young person trying to go into agribusiness, if there are models that they should take. I don't know if this can happen in 3 minutes as we plan to wrap up.
Yeah, there are several models that do exist that people can actually take opportunity of. One is contract farming. This is something that you can grow for companies, for instance, or seed companies, for instance. Recently, there has been a lot of interest from seed companies to grow their seeds in country. I think the seed system is a very lucrative industry. Our young people and even farmers can actually take advantage of. You can choose to be a cassava seed entrepreneur, like what we are doing with several farmers in Benue State now, thanks to funding from GIZ. We started off with some women in Benue, and then, of course, I can see some seed entrepreneurs also here. Dan is here, Dan Agugu is here. And we started some years back. Nobody knew that to sell cassava stems, you can make money. I remember those days, my mom would grow cassava seeds and then they leave them on the farm. But today, you can make even more money from selling cassava stems than the roots. And we have group of women. We started with them 5 hectares. Today they are growing more than 100 hectares in Buruku local government. We intend to multiply that across several parts of the state. We are now working in Konshisha. We plan to move to Otukpo come next year to have more seed entrepreneurs that we can work with. So that could be a very good point that I think our people here in Benue should take advantage of. Because if you remember the last program by the federal government to support farmers with seeds, the problem has been, how do farmers access quality seeds? So Sasakawa, working with IITA and CRS, now we have a model that farmers themselves can produce the seeds that they require using appropriate models, and we train farmers to do that. And with that, and of course you know that if you don't get the right seed, then you can't get anything in agriculture. So this is one area I would like Benue farmers to take advantage of. Go into seeds. The other thing is, how can we take advantage of processing? And then when I talk about processing, I'm not talking about getting a $1 million factory. Yes, those ones are good. But then we can start something at the community level where we can make our communities have processing industries that can create jobs, that can be able to give 1,000 naira to the farmer in the village, that she or he can be able to solve problems that require 2,000 or 3,000, rather than calling myself, who is in Kano, or Leo in Makodi. They can actually take advantage of that. And what do I mean? You can have a 2-ton cassava processing factory. You can have a 2-ton granite processing factory in communities. We are doing that with the Islamic Development Bank in Kano State. Today we have rice mills almost in every community in Kano State. And with that, that has been able to solve the problem of insecurity. If you look at Kano, for instance, you hear about kidnappings across the states, in Kaduna, in Katsina, all the neighboring states. You can hear about insecurity. But in Kano, that is not happening. It is not because they don't just want to go into it. It is because the government has invested substantially in processing. So people are able to generate income. So they can't just leave their communities and come to the city centers. We can learn from that. Benue State has a better advantage than Kano State. We can have small and medium enterprises in communities that can generate wealth and create shared prosperity. And Sasakawa will be willing to support on that. I think I will stop at this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I add one little thing?
And welcome, John. Okay.
One little thing.
Thank you.
Please, 1 second.
Please.
Research has found out very recently that Benue State has a product that is not available elsewhere. It is called noni. Incidentally, I think it grows very, very well in zone A and B. I have just only one plant of it in my house here in Makodi, and that one is serving the entire family. Just noni. Do you know noni is the magic of the year? It's a health food that every pharmaceutical company is looking for. A small 75 bottle of it in the United States about $20. And even here in the supermarket here, the women prepare and take to our supermarkets here, it's about 10,000 naira. Why can't we do that? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will take 2 questions from the audience, but before we take the questions from the audience, John Pilaku is online. Please, can we be sure he's with us? Please, John, say hi if you can hear me.
Hi, thank you, Leo. No thanks to technological hiccups. I'm here. Thank you.
All right, John, could you briefly tell us, could you please tell us the role of technology in enhancing agricultural output in Benue State? Briefly, then we'll take the questions from the audience and we'll move on. John, thank you.
Thank you very much, Leo, and colleagues, and also fellow Benue brothers and sisters who are really on the path of moving forward. I think one of the first things I want to say is, after about 2-3 presentations of the chairman, the Maiden, and that of the Kaduna colleague, I actually had expected us to be reflecting. I really would want that hall to be, all of us to be in a reflective mode rather than a round of applause and reducing it to a theater. But having said that, I want to quickly make a couple of points, and let's not run away from what we've been asked to look at in terms of agricultural investment, feeding the nation. One of the key things about technology, as the maid mentioned, some of the projects we have implemented in Benue, one of the greatest one now is the SNPs project, which is really strengthening nutrition priority tables. And Benue State is one of the first states we're implementing. And one of the cardinal things we're looking in terms of seeing how the state can go forward, increase productivity, quality of food, and also nutritious one is within the agri-technology. A number of states have moved further than where we are. So sometimes it's good, people will talk about government and all that, but even for investors, can we see a way of investing into agri-technology? By agri-technology, a number of ways and a number of models can be brought in. I heard Sasakawa talking about, innovations in terms of how production will be increased. We have gone past the way we do a number of cultivations and even the way of doing agribusiness within the value chain. So if technology is used and improved, there are so many ways government will do that in supporting to ensure that we enhance the technological sphere of agriculture by even supporting implements and also training smallholder farmers in terms of where they can change their farming models. And also even provision of enhanced foods. By this, I mean about 45 crops, for example. If we want to commercialize, you need to have your crops or your produce to be sure that it is meeting the nutritional standard within the sphere by going with the bio 45 crops. Cassava, for example, vitamin A cassava, vitamin A maize, these are all bio 45 crops. So if we improve on that technology, certainly you will not be having products that will be left unsold, and that becomes very competitive in the market. Because of time, I would also have looked at the issues relating to funding, which is one of the critical things we have looked at within the agribusiness as we are implementing the projects in Benue. I could hear the Maiden colleague, Oyema, spoke really very well about that. There are a number of funding streams you can get, not necessarily government, but you can do some of the things that are also existing. The cooperatives are one of the best ways at which you can go in terms of seeking for funding to improve the agricultural technology, not really technology at that level, but there's somewhere we can start. So a number of things come to bear, and probably we can have a better discourse where we can have time, and really there may not be this technological failure where time is also an issue. I want us to look at issues relating to unlocking the potential of synergy. By synergy, that it could be government, it could be investors, it could be even the smallholders that we have. So when we have that, we can come together and get some of the technological equipment or support or seeds that we're talking about, such that we can put our resources together and get all of this. So I do hope that this is the right way to go. But I think at the level of engaging with farmers, engaging with states, we only require which is called an enabling environment for us to do that. And some of these issues have been addressed. So it's a continuous discourse, and I will actually be ready. It's unfortunate that I couldn't be in person, but at least there could be some other opportunities in smaller groups where we can really deep dive into some of these things that we're looking at. And there, I think we can have a number of solutions, working with BIPC and working with some other sectors for us to impact on this. And we'll continue to work with you, Leo, to see how best we can bring in development partners to build the capacity of farmers and, if possible, support in other means for us, to improve our technological well-being of farming, of agriculture and others, such that we will be not just producing for ourselves, but also for feeding the nation. You cannot discuss agriculture without agri-technology today. So thank you very much for this small opportunity, because time is of the essence, and I want to move us for another opportunity where we can have a deep dive discuss, but we'll continue to implement most of our projects in the states to support the government, and investors to grow our businesses better. Thank you very much, Leo.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. John has a very wide experience around here. Please, ladies and gentlemen, for want of time, I'd like to move to the audience. Please, the media team can confirm if Iverian is available. But before we take Iverian, I'd like to take the question from the gentleman in white. Please go ahead with your question and identify the panelists you want to answer your question, please. Onam now. Please, can I get a second mic around here so that we will be able to go round? Can I get a second mic around here, please? You can borrow mine, please.
I think my narrative will address the two of them. As some back, we were in this particular hall talking about improving Benue agriculture. And after all the narrative, a question
please, your name and where you come, your name and the organization represent, please.
My name is L0CAL. I'm the Director General of Benue Chamber of Commerce. So, some years back, we was very about improving Benue agriculture. After the narrative, the statesman rose, asked a question. He said, okay, as we have spoken so good about Benue agriculture, now it comes to making it work, making what we have spoken here to work. Are they recommending that when he leaves this hoe at his age of about 70, he should pass through Gurukum market to buy a hoe to go home and start farming more seriously? And then, of course, no answer was provided to that question, and the meeting dispersed without an answer to that question. This takes me to the fact that transformation of agriculture, before talking about all this expand agriculture, is necessary. If you transform agriculture, it will become interesting to young people. So young people will automatically go back to agriculture. And then you are able to expand agriculture. And so the entire Benue State economic output will improve. As we are talking, if you go into Benue supermarket, a market here, you will hardly see a made in Benue product. Hardly. Very difficult. Not see. So when you talk about transforming agriculture, I think the African Union have adequately addressed that. The African Union have a program for every local government to build a major processing industry in the local government for processing its product of natural advantage and using the same facility as a skills hub, as farming known for a farming knowledge hub, for training young people in the local government on farming methods for optimizing output from acreage. And then, of course, the market is very important. When you process to a particular level, then you are able to export. So I think all this, and interestingly, the Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment opened up a secretariat for that purpose in Benue State here on the 26th of July, 2021. Is it not possible, I'm asking this panel, that you can go back to that work and see how that can manifest? Because in it, you have so much to go into a processing, which will also drive production.
Thank you very much. I think to a large extent this was advisory and observatory, and I think most of your recommendations are noted. The panelists are not stakeholders, and I wish that the stakeholders in the room, like the Commissioner for Commerce and Industry, the Commissioner of Agric, and all those responsible for policy driving activities in the state are able to listen to you and push that forward. Would like to move forward. Who has the next microphone? So, before your question, sir, before your question, I'd like to ask Everin, who is online, would like to ask her, so please share with us what she feels in terms of diaspora participation in agriculture in Nigeria, and what are those opportunities in the diaspora that our people can hold on to. Which countries particularly can we hold on to rely on the FDI, foreign direct investments, that the Smidan guy talked about earlier? And please feel free also to speak about what you had prepared to talk to us about here. 5 minutes.
Recording in progress.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Can you hear me now? It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you to the organizers of this event, to the Benue State Governor, and everyone present here. No thanks to technology, but we do the best we can. Now, as a diaspora partnership manager for L0CAL, the world's largest organization for entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs globally, the diaspora, especially for Benue State, for Africa in general, but for Benue, play a very critical role for helping us, helping Benue actually step into that our role as food basket. One of the key ways that we have done this in the past in other states, Ondo State specifically, Uganda and other countries, Zimbabwe, is to engage young people in producing products according to international standards of food production. As we know that one of the challenges that we have in exporting our goods to other countries is the regulations. Recently, 3 weeks ago, we were once again downgraded as not following health considerations in our processing, storing, and packaging of food. Now, one thing the diaspora help local farmers to do that we've experienced in our work, especially in L0CAL, is to help provide the technical expertise and guidance for helping local farmers to produce food to the standard of the regulations that will be acceptable in their current countries. They now become the ambassadors. They become the people that will work with the local agencies over there. They help to ensure that Nigeria has a stay at the table. And they come back with they are the first point of contact that bring the information that we require to make sure that the farmers here can meet up to that. In addition, the diaspora provide the access to market. They help the value chain in food production to be acceptable. So sometimes, the European market, the American market might not be too aware or conscious of the quality and value of our food, but the diaspora presence there are active in marketing the value of these products, active in marketing how nutritious our soil is, how full of free from GMO, because GMO now is a big concern in the Western world. And then most importantly, they also source for funding. What they need and what Benue needs to really step up to is to have that organized, whether it's a cooperative. Now, the farmer we worked with in Ondo State, he started with 15 youth farmers. They were doing weekend farming. So he will invite them over the weekend. He will teach them how to produce this farm, how to farm it, how to store it, how to package it. Today, based on diaspora engagement, based on funding support organizations like L0CAL, he has a cooperative of 5,450 farmers. And this is Ondo. That is not the food basket of the nation. Now imagine what we could do if we could harness this youth to actually have the commitment. It's not just a farming practice. It was mentioned earlier on by the Maiden presentation that managerial ability is lacking. And that's one thing, both individually and collectively, a lot of diasporas have complained about, that to find young people who will stay the course, who will be committed to actually following through day in, day out, because it's not an overnight thing. You need to be people that are willing to be committed, to do the hard work, to not steal, to just follow through long term. And to also to provide the diasporas a kind of assurance that if a particular set of people do not follow through, the government will provide protection or at least resource for that. But I believe, and most of the people in L0CAL too, ponder and wonder why in Benue we cannot find 4 or 5 such just people. Resources will be provided. But to bring the people together, young people in clusters of 15, 10, 20, to begin to start building upon the knowledge and the expertise that is already available. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't need to go far for resources. Even in terms of regenerative farming from Israel, we've learned practices that can turn desert soil into food-producing vegetation. And this knowledge is available as long as we have the people on ground to be able to deliver. So that's my call to Benue youths, to come together under cooperatives. There are farms available, there are resources available, there are NGOs available that are willing to help produce this. And then the diaspora over there, we provide the market that is necessary. This particular cocoa farmer in Ondo State, they have gone from just producing cocoa, rice, and cassava to actually now having and launching a chocolate manufacturing company. And the diaspora have helped to produce a market where they will sell this chocolate. So all these things are possible if we can have the right framework and mindset shift for our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful. I guess we saved the amazing for this time, and thank you very much for that. I'd like to take the gentleman in green.
Good afternoon, the moderator. I really appreciate the sector agriculture, your discussions. First and foremost, I would like to appreciate the organizers of this forum because it's the first in the history of Benue State.
Please, your name and your organization.
My name is Mr. Daniel Agudu. I am the chairman of Board of Trustees, Association of Cassava Seed Entrepreneur Network, Nigeria. I'm talking here with the experience. You see, when you have a house...
Sorry, hold on a bit. Gentlemen, how is that important? How is this food thing important more than this? I'd like someone to regulate all of these things. Hello, gentlemen. Can someone tell him I'm talking to him? It's a lot of noise from there, just from him.
I would like you to listen attentively to this, because when you have a house and a visitor come in that house and you don't identify the visitor, you may not know whether that visitor is a thief or is a person who we work with. Sasakawa, what the Dr. Atse said there, he was first in the area of production of cassava stems in Benue State. Benue State take the lead of producing cassava stems. And the production of cassava stems comes into Benue through a process. And that process was that certain organizations like IITA, Catholic Relief Services, came into the Benue State. And there were only 2 states then. And these 2 states, no government recognized them. They mobilized production, full production. When we are talking of cassava seed production in Nigeria now, we are talking of Benue State. So the production was intensified. And some economic bourgeois took advantage of this. When they took advantage of this, we are talking of food security. Food security. And when we are talking of food security is, first and foremost, you have to feed your house before going out. And this is not like this. It's not so. Because when the process was going on, processing aspect has been totally ignored. Processing aspect has been totally ignored. And that aspect is very important. So for this conference, for this organizations to call on this forum, it is very important that they have to look inward for the processing aspect of cassava. Just take a lead of one aspect. Cassava is a seed. Is a seed. And if we take one particular commodity like cassava, this nation is going to, the Benue State is going to turn a very high on production of cassava. Only. So the other communities will follow. If they follow, that means cassava will take a lead and other communities will follow. So let them intensify processing, because we have been working towards processing, no intervention, where they have not been recognized. Take for instance, somebody called me to processing. He brought a very giant machines processing. He detects the price. He don't even ask the farmers what have they put. But now farming is business. As farming is business now, we have to know how much we have produced. And when you come, you fix 2 prices. Those 2 prices you are fixing, what is the rationale between you bring a little quantity, you'll be paid less. And you bring a high quantity, you'll be paid more. What is the rationale behind that? So it is not an ideal situation. If we go and look into this, inward into this, coming to processing of cassava, yes, coming to just a minute, coming to production of cassava here, you have to recognize those who mobilize the production before going to put your machines in place. And if you don't do that, and you put and you are calling your price without recognizing the farmers, it's a shameful development. So the government has to look into this. And thank you so much.
Thank you. I do recognize that there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of emotions with the conversations, but please keep it to 1 minute. And as much as possible, if it's a question, ask a question. Because right now, I didn't even know if it was a question or a contribution. Please keep it to 1 minute. The gentleman in uniform. I need a working microphone for him, please.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, the panelists. I'm a Deputy Superintendent of Immigration, Jude Isaac, representing the Controller Nigerian Immigration Service. I just want to seize this opportunity to talk about, because in immigration we manage migration. And we have a program that is running concurrently now throughout the country about irregular migration. And to a larger extent, it affects what we are discussing here. Because based on research, we discovered that the presentation by Maiden answer some of the questions. Because we belong to organizations like the State Trafficking Task Force with NAPTIP and other law enforcement agencies, NACTAL, Action Against Child Trafficking and Rape. We discovered that Benue now has become not only a destination, it's also a source state for irregular migration. There are Benue indigents everywhere, especially internal migration. In the southwest, we'll go to meetings and they'll be telling us, your people are embarrassing us. Your people are here. Come and carry people. They are there, they don't have anything, and they leave Benue because of the economic hardship. We all know the security situation in the state. It has rendered many people vulnerable. We have a teeming, vulnerable population in Benue State that needs economic support, just like the chief said. The millennial generation, age 25 to 45, they are on the move, en masse. Both out of the country, they will be calling us from Kano. They have intercepted them. We should come and carry them back to Benue. Discussion like this should be more practical than academic. There should be a repertoire. Secretariat, are they taking note of what we are discussing, or it will be like what the director of Benue Chamber of Commerce said? They gathered here 2 years ago and it's like they left. There is no much success. Because having discovered that Benue State, the main state is agriculture, we expect to see the representative for the Commissioner of Agriculture here, Commerce of Industry. We learned that there is a new ministry, Humanitarian Affairs, so that there should be things on ground. If you tell these people not to go, the question is, what do you have for them? Government cannot employ all of them. Things like this will be the one that will create employment for them. So please, is there a template? Is there a representation in the 23 local governments that are here? Because I learned that some business owners registered online. Is it from the 23 local governments? How the galvanizing effect? What do we intend to achieve? Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so we'll be wrapping up, but just to share in your concern, first of all, thank you very much for noting this. His Excellency Governor Hyacinth Memalia has discovered the much you have discovered in terms of your research findings. Benue people are going to experience a revolution that will begin to bring them back home. This local investors forum is the first of its kind in the history of this state, and I stand to be corrected. We hope to sustain this. At this meeting, local investors have come here. They are networking. We hope that from the fundings and lessons that are being learned here today, some of them will employ people and pay them wages that are according to their dignity. There are investors here who are making a lot of money, but they are also not paying the people as they were supposed to be paid commensurately. So when you don't pay people as expected in the private sector, people will migrate. And that is something that this administration, in its wisdom, has created the Directorate for Wealth Creation and Entrepreneurship. This administration has also known that for agriculture and other areas to thrive, there is a need for ICT. And that is why this administration launched an initiative to train 10,000 young people. Registration had happened and enlisting process is ongoing. And those people, they will not all work in the bank. Some of them will also work in the agri sector. The thing is, when these announcements happen, it is good for our young people to embrace them. The Commissioner of Youth and Sports, as directed by His Excellency, is taking a full database of young people in the state. That has been announced on radio, social media, and people are supposed to take advantage of those so that we can have a data register of young people that are here. At this meeting, if you had arrived there earlier, the World Bank were here with a form to take a list of people who were here, businesses are here, so that as opportunities come, we can also take them in. Heaven helps those who help themselves. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there is a difference between BAM and cooperative. BAM, you eat what you are getting. But cooperative, you start up something that futuristically
you can be able to benefit from. The question I want to ask in this room, do you have more cooperatives in Benue State than BAM? Everybody here does BAM, contribution, ajo. At the end of the year, you are taking what you have contributed. But in the South, people have cooperatives. Sasakawa cannot give you a loan. But if you're in a cooperative, Sasakawa can give you a loan. The African Development Bank cannot give you a loan. But if you're in a cooperative, African Development Bank can give you a loan. The World Bank, the Bank of Industry, different organizations who are willing to fund you, they might not be able to give you a loan because you do not have the collateral. But when you come together as a cooperative, they might be able to give you a loan. That is something we should leave this meeting with. The Smithian guy talked about it. How many cooperatives do we have here? And when we have cooperatives, common election, small election to get the leader of the cooperative, scatters the cooperative. If 20 people cannot manage a cooperative, then what audacity do you have to criticize a government? So the question for us today is, in the discussions we have listened here, one key thing is, you can get the monies available, but you also have to do the right thing. How many of our businesses are registered with Corporate Affairs Commission? How many of our businesses are registered with Corporate Affairs Commission? How many of our businesses have the right documentation? For those of us who say we are NGOs, how many of our NGOs have the right documentation to pass a simple organization capacity assessment? If the Bank of Industry wants to give you a loan, do you have the right documentation and collaterals to be able to take up that loan? So the onus of productivity and progress is largely in the hands of the citizens as much as possible. Most of the people who, according to the immigration people, are leaving the state for cheap labor. Some of them might not be able to do that same cheap labor here in Benue State because of pride, because of shame. But they joyfully do security jobs in Lagos. Some of them graduates. Some of them, the jobs they have refused to do here, to add to the capital of the state, is the jobs they have gone to do outside of the state. But this administration is poised through initiatives like this to begin to bring people back here. As we wrap up, I'd like Dr. Godwin Atse to take 1 minute to wrap up, and Chief Ibrahim to take 1 minute to wrap up. Godwin Atse.
All right, thank you so much, Leo, and thanks to the audience for your insightful contributions. Today, or maybe if you look at 2-3 years ago, when we had COVID, I think one of the priority things that each and every one of us was looking for was food. And then there came a time that prices of wheat, prices of sugar, prices of rice went so high. And the reason was because there was a war, and that war is still going on in Ukraine and Russia. And therefore you have the money, but you may not be able to get the food. Now we have the Gaza, the Gaza crisis, Israel and Hamas going on. All of these are distortion. On top of that, we should know that climate change is real now. This year we had rains up to December. So the cassava that we usually have in the soil, some of them began to decay, to get rotten. The same thing with yams. People are rushing to harvest now because if you leave it too much in the ground, the water that is there will spoil it. Now, all of these are pointing to the fact that all of us need to take agriculture seriously, both as a state and also as investors and also as individuals, like what David said. There's no reason why we shouldn't have gardens in our homes. But again, why it looks a bit gloomy, it's also an opportunity for us pointing to the fact that if we invest in agriculture, there is no better time than now, because the return on investment are certainly going to be there for you. I know that a bag of rice today, we are talking about 40,000 plus at this time when it is harvest, meaning that prices are favorable. The profits are there for us to take. So it's time for us to invest. And I think Benue State has one of the best lands. The land that whatever you grow here tests differently. If you test the oranges in Benue, they test differently. If you test the yams, they look differently. The same species. If you take to other places, the tests are always different. So we need to take advantage of what we have in Benue State in agriculture. Let all of us take it seriously and see how we invest in agriculture. This will be my last words. Over. Thanks.
In closing, 1 minute.
Thank you. My own is an appeal. The whole world knows Benue State as the food basket of the nation. We cannot afford to allow Nasarawa State to overtake us, or Kogi State to overtake us, or Bauchi State to overtake us. When you see a survey plan like this from FAO, it is very disheartening. The second appeal is a visitation to our budget. We have University of Agriculture, Makodi. We have Akbaronshi, some Polytechnic here. They have research findings from cassava to maize to fish to pig. All the products in agriculture that you know, the research findings are there, but they are not being implemented. If you look at the Ministry of Agriculture budget for the previous years, I don't know, I've not read of this or the one of this year, but if you look at the previous year, most of it is accorded to recurrent expenditure. We need to be practical. The money must be brought to assist the farmers with research findings to experiment and to improve their production. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The larger conversation here was around research. Thankfully, His Excellency, in his wisdom, has appointed a professor in that area as the Commissioner for Agric. And we believe that he's listening in on this program, and he will definitely take further action in that regard. I'd like to announce also to this gathering that as the Director General coordinating partners in the state, we have a lot of agric-based NGOs that are coming in to help our communities and see how this can be, productivity can be increased. Sasakawa responded to a call by the governor, and immediately they ended the call. They said, we do not have money in 2023 for Benue State, but the small money we have, let us see what $65,000 can do for agribusiness in Benue State. And since June 12th, Sasakawa has been in the state. That is money that would have gone to another state. His Excellency is engaging with a lot of partners, and those partners will be coming in here. You know, it's a gradual process. You recall that before now, partners had left the state. But right now, with His Excellency's engagement, partners are coming back into his state, and our agric farmers will be happy for it, and that's beyond that. We will be going soon into a partnership with Haifa International, and that partnership will also help with our agro farmers' input. BIPC, led by Dr. Raymond Asemakaha, is going to set the stage for all of these conversations. Investments in the state will come through them under the Ministry for Commerce and Industry, and his visionary leadership is beginning these processes. What we ask is that, please, for investors in agribusiness, where you are confused and you do not know where to can get help, please reach out to the MD of BIPC and his team. They will be able to provide guidance and help you to make decisions that will help improve your business. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to acknowledge that a lot of us want to speak. But if we ask all of us to speak here, we might be requesting for dinner at a point, and I'm not sure BIPC had made provision for dinner. So we would like to go leave this table right now and go. But I'd like to say that I'd like to thank you, the esteemed panelists, for sharing your insights and expertise. We hope that these discussions inspire fruitful collaborations and investments that will contribute to the growth and prosperity of Benue State agricultural sectors. Let's continue working together towards feeding the nation and beyond. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you very much, panel on agriculture. If you enjoyed that, can we give them a big round of applause, please? Another round of applause for these people. They took their time and shared their knowledge and their wisdom with us. Thank you. Thank you. If you are here and you want to say something bothering your business or bordering on investment in Benue, based on your experience and your observation, let me see your hand up. If you are here and you have something to say about investment, running business, the environment of business in Benue, let me see your hand up, please. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I know some people are eating and they cannot raise their hands. We are aware of this. You can put your hands down. What we have done, you can put your hands down, I've seen that. We are going to engage all of you and give up the opportunity to air your views. We are not only hearing those views. Listen very carefully. It is not grandstanding. So we don't want you to just come and talk and it to go in the air, like the officer said. We have a very specific opportunity for you to air your views in a structured manner that would capture it. And hopefully that will be culminating into what policy can shift to accommodate the solutions. If you have a problem, you must also have a solution, right? So you think this is a problem you have seen, you can suggest that this is what needs to be done. We are going to do that across your sectors of interest. Before we do that, somebody talks about tax, right? You have tax problem in this, doing business in Benue. If you have tax problem, let me see your hands up. Multiple taxes, right? So we'll have an expert. We'll have an expert who is a lawyer, the immediate past president of the Nigerian Bar Association of Benue State, to come and talk to us for 5 minutes about tax, so that you can get an insight into the issues that are bothering you about tax. May I invite Barrister Bagil to please come and take the stage for 5 minutes. Before we go into your breakout sessions, please. Please welcome him with a round of applause.
Good afternoon. I wish to adopt the already established protocol because of want of time. I'm going to do an appraisal of the legal and policy regime regulating taxation in Benue State. As we all know, taxation is a very important tool in development, because it's through taxation that government get resources for the development to provide basic and essential services. And that is why in developed climes, they often refers to as taxpayers' money. Whereas here we talk about OA money, in developed climes they talk about essentially taxpayers' money. Because taxation is a critical part of the legal and policy framework that supports governance. In Nigeria, the legal framework that regulates the taxation in Nigeria basically is the Constitution of Nigeria 1999 as amended. if you look at paragraphs 7, 8, 9, and 10 of part 2 of the second schedule and part 1 and 2 of the fourth schedule, it outlines the taxes that are collectible by the federal government, the state government, and the local government, respectively. In item 9 of the concurrent legislative list empowers the State House of Assembly to make provisions subject to such conditions as may be prescribed for the collection of these taxes. And it is in pursuant to that we also have the Benue State Internal Revenue Service Law 2022 as amended. We also have the Taxes and Levies Approved List for Collection Act of 2004, which also outlines the taxes that are collectible by the federal, state, and local government respectively. We have, by virtue of part 2 of the Taxes and Levies Collection Act, which has the list of taxes that the state government can collect. You can also find that in the BRS law as amended, particularly Schedule 13 of the BRS law 2022 as amended. And then, of course, for local governments, we also have Section 7, Sub 1 of the Constitution, which guarantees the system of local government in Nigeria, and also provide that the State House of Assembly has the powers to legislate regarding the local governments. And by virtue of the local government law of 2007, amended in 2012, it also provided for the specific taxes that the local governments can also collect. This is also contained in part 3 of the Taxes and Levies Act 2004 refers to earlier. Of course, the collection of these taxes has a lot of challenges, one of which is the issue of multiple taxation. Because when you look at the Constitution and then the levies, the Taxes and Levies Collection Act of 2004, it has provided for taxes that the federal government can collect, the ones that the state government can collect, and then the ones that the local government can collect. And because of improper coordination, most of the times, the issue of multiple taxation has been a very nagging issue. In Benue State here, we have issues of multiple taxation that in the last administration, we have organizations or private enterprises like Olam Nigeria Limited, Nigerian Breweries, Nigerian Bottling Company Limited, and Teragro Commodities Limited, etc., who had to close their offices here in Benue, like Olam, were told where they contributed up to $200 million in Kaduna, and then they have now moved to Nasarawa. We even have issues where some people go to our neighboring Nasarawa state here to obtain tax clearance. So, since we are talking about creating an enabling environment for the private sector to thrive in the state, the issue of addressing the issue of multiple taxation or illegal taxation in Benue State and having a robust legal and policy framework in this regard is very necessary. Of course, His Excellency, the Governor of Benue State, Reverend Dr. Harry Santalia, is inclined to this. During his inaugural speech, this is what he had to say about creating an investment environment in the state. To the investor community, we are aware that Benue already lost its investment status owing to bad governance. What is also true is that the whole world is waiting to invest in Benue, but they are waiting for the enablers, a clearly articulated investment vision with defined projects pipeline, a supportive legal and regulatory framework and value proposition at individual project level are the basic preconditions for investor attraction. These enablers are what our administration will prioritize. So to all potential investors, we want to say to you that Benue is open for business. I think this is beyond rhetorics, and I think this forum organized by BIPC is also very apt and positive in this declaration and commitment by His Excellency. Just last week, when His Excellency also was presenting his budget, his maiden budget to the Benue State House of Assembly, he had this to say: small and medium enterprises are the backbone of our economy, and this budget allocates funds to support entrepreneurship, women cooperatives, to providing access to capital, mentorship, and resources for aspiring business owners. Investment is an essential factor in economic development, job creation, and growth. So when you are looking at the issue of investment, the issue of taxing those who are investing is not the only means through which funds can be raised. It is just part of it. Because this investment, they create jobs, they create economic development generally. I think my brother that made the presentation of Maiden was giving us a scenario. If we have up to 1,000 plus small-scale industries and they are paying 1,000 monthly, you get over 1 billion. But if you, because of heavy taxation, you send them packing, or they close down their businesses, even if you are taxing them for 5,000, many of them will not be able to pay, and the state government will be getting less revenue. So creating an enabling investment environment is also to have a tax policy, a tax system that will be also friendly, a tax system that will grant incentives to upcoming businesses so that they will be able to thrive, because through the payment of, through employment, through payment of payee, and several other things, the state government will still get resources through the operations of this private investment. So there's always a kind of a value chain that when businesses are thriving, the economy will grow, everybody will benefit, both those in government and in private sector. Finally, I wish to use the opportunity to commend BIPC for taking this responsibility of organizing this forum, because it has, for me, it is an indication that BIPC has actually realized, under the new leadership, has realized that as an investment organ of the state, it needs to do all that it could to kind of mobilize the multi-sectoral actors and stakeholders so that we have an enabling investment environment in Benue State for the private sector also to thrive, so that there will be creation of job opportunities and economic development of our dear state. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much. I believe that we had a very, very insightful moment listening to the first panel discussion, where we had the panelists and, of course, the anchor of that session, They made sure that they touched around all the aspects of the conversation that centered around agriculture, investment, and efforts to feed the nation, and most importantly, to get Benue back to the position where it should be as the food basket of the nation. We'd like to very specially once again take this time to appreciate the panelists, the group chairman of King D Nigeria Limited, who did such an amazing work talking on that conversation. Thank you so much. I'd also like to still take this time to appreciate the country director of Sasakawa Africa Association, Kano, Dr. Godwin Ate, and the panelists that joined us online, Iverin Ethiopia, thank you so much, and Mr. John Pilako, and most importantly, the Director General of the Bureau of International Cooperation and Development Coordinating Unit here in Benue State, Mr. Leonard Angelo Viashima. Thank you so much for doing such an amazing work. And now I decided to say that just to introduce the next session. The second session will be focusing on unlocking the potential of technology and innovation in Benue State. We have the panelists are people that are well grounded in this conversation at this point. I'll be inviting them to come forward as we get started. We have two panelists that will be here with us in the building, and two people will be joining us online. At this point, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to welcome the very first person that will be joining this session, Dr. Stephen Akuma, I beg your pardon, from the Department of Mathematics and Computer Sciences at the Benue State University, Makurdi. Dr. Stephen Akuma, thank you so much. He'll be one of the panelists here with us. I'd also like to welcome the second panelist that will be joining us here. I'd like to invite Dr. Princewill Odum. Odum is joining us online. Then we'd like to invite the second panelist that will be joining us here on stage, Peter Bem Hembegwe, the Chief Executive Officer of Cool Fresh Limited, Makurdi, Benue State. If he's in the house, we'd like to have him join us very quickly. So like I said, it's a hybrid conversation. Two more people will be joining us online. Dr. Ruth Dian Ebe, FIMC, the lead consultant at Roots HQ Limited and Exco at Slum to School Africa, Lagos State, should also be joining the conversation online. And finally, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Princewill Odum will also be joining us online to have this conversation. And this conversation will be anchored by Ms. Yu Sandra Nlumun. Ms. Yu Sandra Nlumun is the Assistant Chief Program Analyst at the Federal Medical Center in Makurdi. Please, ladies and gentlemen, can we welcome these people? Thank you so much. At this point, I'll be leaving you in the very capable and dependable hand of the anchor, Ms. Yu Sandra Nlumun, to kickstart this session and to lead as we get to have the conversation around unlocking the potential of technology and innovation in Benue State. Ladies and gentlemen, please can we give them a round of applause? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to be here. And then, first and foremost, appreciate BIPC for this wonderful initiative. Indeed, we are ready to change the narratives. Before we go into the discussion proper, I would like to say the job has been reduced. If you look at the theme, I say unlocking the potential of technology and innovation in Benue State. That means that we already know the potentials, or the potentials are already there. What is needed is how to unlock it. So I think the problem has been reduced greatly. And then before we delve into properly again, I want to pause a little bit. I want to take our mind and then to thank all those who have remained in this venue up till now. When we came here in the morning, it was filled to the brim. But a lot of persons have gone. And this shows that the remaining people in this hall are the ones that are ready to build Benue State. I don't know how many of us have watched The Man Who Built America. It's a movie that is very interesting. It's not the government. It's not the civil servant. The private people who decided to change the narrative, to bring innovations. We have the John D. Rockefeller, we have the J.P. Morgan, we all know the history. They're the people that changed and then built America. So I believe that a few of us that are left here are the ones ready to change or build Benue State. So once again, I appreciate you all. If you look at the theme, I'll briefly explain what technology and innovation is before our experts here will continue. So technology, we know, or is application of scientific principles or knowledge to solve practical problems. And then and this technology can be tangible or intangible. Tangible means something we can feel and touch. Intangible means what we can see but we cannot touch. And then innovation, on the other hand, is creating and implementing new ideas that yield positive results. And for innovations, it could be what? Incremental. That's you are building up from where someone else started. And then it could be disruptive, means you are starting afresh, a new idea. So this afternoon, we're here to talk more and then to see how we can unlock the potentials of Benue State. So once again, thanks for listening, and as well my experts, discussants here. The boy is your court. I'll start with Dr. Akuma. Please, can you briefly explain what technology and innovation is? And if possible, you give us practical examples.
Good afternoon, everyone. And good afternoon. Thank you so much for being around. I think on our own part, we'll go straight to the point so that we don't further waste our time here. I'm glad that the first discussant spoke about agriculture, which was our main band from 1976 till now. We have seen programs in Green Revolution, programs in Operation Feed the Nation, and every of those programs was meant to improve yields and move people from peasantry to mechanization. But somehow we have not gone there, and that is why we're discussing this. And I must salute the courage of the organizers of this, because they are saying that we cannot continue to leverage on agriculture alone. We should look at other areas, emerging areas like ICT, which which is quite critical for our economic breakthrough and also critical for us moving forward. So I thank the organizers for that. Technology is anything that can advance using systems to advance human participation. Normally, human work, they do things manually. So anything that can add to that, to automate or accelerate their processes, can be seen as technology. Basically, as I've said about agriculture, we have done so much in that area, and we're looking at potentials in new area. In ICT alone, as of last quarter of 2022, we were able to have about 18.44% of our GDP from ICT. And in India, just the tech alone, that is software development, data analysis, just tech skills alone, generated for them last year about $506 billion. That's similar to what we have as our state GDP. So there are a lot of things in that area that will benefit. So I think I will move from answering what technology is and add more value so that our audience can get something from what we're doing. Basically, in our state, as we try to diversify from agriculture, agriculture involves mechanization, which we have not attained. But in ICT, you just need one computer that has a software and has maybe internet connectivity. Then you need somebody that is ready to learn and an institute that will have to train that person, and that's it. So within 6 months, you'll be churning people out for employment, both locally and foreign. I'm glad the chairman, the keynote speaker, Khalid, spoke about his younger brother being able to work from home. We have those cases here. We've trained people that are working from home and making money. Yusuf Benue is from Makurdi local government. We trained him and he's earning about $4,000 working in Malta. Okube Emmanuel is from Oju. We trained him and he's working with another NGO earning about 2 million naira. So moving from there, the quickest approach of getting our people out of poverty is in this ICT. So let me just add a little to the challenges that we're facing in Benue State before maybe we discuss about the ways of going out of it. One of it is bandwidth. That is getting internet across our local areas, getting internet across our state. Nigeria broadband capture is about just 46%. The whole of the country, we have not been able to even hit the target of 50%. Even though there's a broadband strategy by NIDA, we are still not able to attend those things, that level of connectivity. In Benue, we have 4G relatively in town halls like Makodi, town centers like Makodi, Otukpo, Boku. 3G in other areas, 2G, even as low as 1G, because we are not up to that level. So we have to find how to synergize to move from our 2G, 3G to 4G, and probably 5G that is in Abuja and Lagos now. So another challenge we're having here quickly is startups. We have startups and we need to encourage our startups. We don't need to getting businesses to people outside the state. We have people that can actually do this work because those startups generate employment. So we should think about that. Then the next one is digitalization of our ministries and agencies. You can't tell an investor to invest in a state where their own things are not automated, because the person will feel we are not serious. So we need to digitalize, have a central hub or a central portal controlling every ministry and agency, such that the governor can sit in his room and get information about what is happening around the state. I think this is quite important. Sometimes I feel our governors are miracle workers because we don't really have a central database of our people. So if you don't have a central database, how do you plan? How do you even make informed decisions? Even in our houses, if you have 4 people living in your house, you know the number of cup of rice to cook. So when it comes to the state level, I still don't know how that is done. So we need a central database that will have both biometric and physical data of all our citizens and residents. Without that, we may be continuing our rhetoric. I think I'll add more as we go further. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stephen, for that elaborate explanation. Quickly, I'll go to Mr. Benue. We have different types of technologies. In fact, he delved into ICT, which is just one aspect. We have other examples like that of water technology, transportation, education, cut across, in fact, technology cut across every aspect. You just choose the one we want and then you apply. So we want to know practically how has it been applied both in Nigeria and then internationally?
Thank you very much, Ms. Moderator. Technology is an enabler. So basically, we use technology to enable us to achieve a planned purpose. So take, for instance, in our society, do we have technology before the advent of civilization? Yes, we do. But when policymakers look at technology, they tend to think about what comes from Europe or Asia or America. But for us to succeed as a people, we have to also identify what technology we had. Just take, for instance, we have something in TIV called Mumu. We have another one called Asondo. All those were technology processes that are native to our very environment. Have we tried to improve on it? No, we haven't. But for us to succeed, we must look inward. What do we have? Our forefathers, how were they surviving? How were they processing our agricultural produce? Then we can build on that. Coming to this century, you can't talk about technology without talking about ICT. Actually, ICT is a combination of two different technologies. One was telephony, the other one computers. There has been convergence now. Luckily, I was one of the team members that built the IC infrastructure in Dubai. By then I was with IBM. The first thing we did was training. And how did we do it? We set up boot camps. We bring in people from different spheres of life. If you have studied management, you are good enough to train. If you have done engineering, you are good enough to cross-train. And on and on. So we build a team. After we build a team, policy was also important. We encourage the Dubai government to start an ICT agency. And that is the same situation we have in Benue here. A zero level, nothing. So, who is coordinating ICT in Benue? There is no department like that coordinating ICT. We must have a department that coordinates ICT in Benue. That department will formulate policies for the executive to implement. Now, we build the infrastructure. But instead of building top down, we build bottom up. And what I see mostly in this country, not only in Benue, is that implementation of ICT is done from top down instead of bottom up. So, do you have the local area networks? No. Even in government house here, does the local area network exist? No. Which of the ministries in Benue has a local area network? None. Then you talk of internet connectivity. So, where can you get fiber network in Benue? Perhaps in Makurdi, but not all parts of Makurdi. So how are you going to do it? There are ways, but they are expensive. So we must look at our policy and train, build the infrastructure. The people we train will now mind the infrastructure, learn from the job. So you can bring in people to build, operate, and transfer. That they will transfer skills to your people. And then I mentioned the issue of boot camps. It is important that we have boot camps that train people in areas like Cisco or networks. Those are hardcore ICT. Networks, interconnectivity, programming, etc. We have to start from the bottom and work our way out. We can't jump from the top. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful explanation. In fact, you started answering part of the next question, which we would like to assess the current state of technology and innovation in Benue State. What is obtainable? Then Dr. Akuma should help us to answer that.
Okay, as it stands, like what the last speaker said, we are really on the floor in terms of technology, in terms of ICT. And one of the things is that we don't bring key players to lead ICT. I often say that ICT is meant for technocrats, it's not for politicians. If you have people that work for you in government, work for you for your election, look for somewhere and settle there, not in ICT. ICT is a serious deal, is a new gold or new oil. I think we have to be that. We have stated certain things that are our issues here. One of them is broadband, that is reaching connectivity. Philip Emegwali, one of the persons in foremost Nigerian that developed out of them the highest, the supercomputer with the highest speed. He said that it's better to have one computer connected to internet in a village than to have 100 computers without internet, because with that internet, that system, they can view the world from there. That was something 20 years ago he said that. And the reality is here. So we have a lot of people of internet age that know how to paste things on Facebook and do all that. We all need to harness these things. First, we have to open our broadband. And one of the ways of doing that is to key in with what NIDA is doing. There's already a broadband policy. What we need to do is to key into that policy and see on how we can benefit maximally from that policy. We can also seek Nigerian internet exchange point so that we can create an internet exchange point in Benue. It will be a first of its kind in this sub-region. Internet exchange points are physical places where traffic is exchanged. For instance, if I have to send a message through Facebook to somebody in Boko, it will first go maybe to one of the data houses in Australia before it comes back here. That makes it expensive, makes internet expensive, and also makes our connectivity slower. So if we have that internet exchange point in Benue, we'll be solving that. It's something like a port connecting different cargoes or an airport connecting different airplanes. It has not been done anywhere. It's a new development. I know Anambra are working very hard so that it will be established in their place. So if the manager, MD, can look at that and also seriously use our federal connection so that it will be established in Benue, and that will automatically link us to the world. So that is the first one. Then we talk about digitalization. We need an ICT policy. An ICT policy that will say within the next 50 years or next 20 years, we want 80% of our citizens to be computer literate. Or within the next 5 years, we want to have 5,000 programmers, 5,000 data analysts, 3,000 software testers, 4,000 business analysts, 2,000 data engineers, and something like that. We need to have something in place so that we can work with. That is planning. Then we need to have a central hub, something like a portal connecting every ministry and parastatal in the state. We don't have that yet. My co-discussant talked about connection. We need that fiber network connection so that everybody will be linked up. And when they are linked, it's easier to manage data. I often say that we also need accurate data. What we are running on is phantom data. And you cannot succeed with phantom data. You can't. We are just trying to cure cancer as if we want to cure eczema. We have to go to the fundamentals. We have to have a complete data of all residents in Benue State, and this can be done. I understand the Ministry of Youth and Affairs are trying to do something, giving people questionnaires to fill or something like data form. That will not go anywhere. It will fail and it will fail. Then I also understand that the state is trying to train people, 10,000 people and all that. You don't bring people like that and just ask questions and try to put them in one place or the other on how you think. You don't go that way. You will not succeed. Everybody is different. There are some that are best in data analysis. There are some are best in programming and all that. So you don't just identify those people from afar. With our own status, we know what to do to get the best out of young people. I believe that ICT policy will cover all of this. We need to encourage startups. We have some here. I'm also an owner of one. I think we trained her in data analysis and she's doing very well. We also train others working in Europe and America. Home, locally, they are making $4,000, $5,000 a month. I don't ask them about the money. That's their own fair way of doing this. So we need to encourage startups. Sometimes we have software development jobs. We'll start looking for people from other states. What those guys in that state will do is that they'll collect the money, employ people in that state, and come back here and deliver you the software and go their own way. So we need to encourage startups here. Not necessarily loans, but also by giving them jobs when we know we have it. We are totally on the floor. You know, if we have an ICT-backed job center here, most of these things we are discussing here are things that can be done because there are jobs for computer operators, there are jobs for computer testers, there are jobs for business analysts. I trained my friend, Abba. He's working in UK. It was just on waterfall model. RUP model, rational unified process. I just took him through inception phase, elaboration phase, construction phase, and transition phase of that. And he went for interview. He didn't make it that day. And later he went and he made, and he's earning $500 a day. Just something like that. So it is not very sophisticated. And the quickest way to move our people out of poverty, I don't think is agriculture. I don't think. Because agriculture is expensive. It's ICT, because in ICT, you just need somebody that is ready to think. You also need a computer, which everybody can get, a software to that computer, and maybe internet, and that is all. Within 6 months in a good training center, that man is ready for the job market remotely. Remotely means he'll be working in UK here, earning in dollars without UK taxing that dollars. Those are earning there, they are taxable. So these are the ways we can go and solve some of these problems. It is our own, I believe it's our own decision to make, and I thank God that the managing director has taken the bull by the horn.
Okay, thank you, sir. In addition to that, I attended a program in 2019 in Abuja, and one of the facilitators said his prayer is that the oil wells of Nigeria should go dry, so that Nigerians will shift their thinking to another sector. In fact, ICT is a new oil well. The top 5 billionaires are from ICT, the Bill Gates and co. So ICT has a lot of potentials if people are trained to create more jobs, to take youth out of the street than even agriculture. Most time people feel agriculture is a dirty profession, you know. Before, we used to think it's for the poor. When you say you're a farmer, everybody will look down on you. So ICT is here. And the good thing with ICT is that there's no age restriction. Be it old, young, kids. And the good thing is, as investors, if you apply this in your businesses, you see wonders to prevent leakages, and then you monitor your performances. So quickly, I don't know if our online discussions are there. Okay? Okay, Dr. Prince will channel the next question to you. With the current status of technology and innovation in Benue State, we want to know what's the potential for investment.
All right, thank you very much for having me. There are huge potentials for investment or for investors coming to Benue when it talks about IT and technology innovations. First of all, from all what I've been hearing today, there's been so much that I said, if you put agri together with IT, you could make something great. When I finished my training in the US as a drone pilot to be certified, the first job I did was in the farm, and all I need, like fertilizers, any kind of agriculture. So there are a lot of benefits that you could bring IT into, or technology into agri, and it's going to really help and make more sense than when you just use agri alone. Now, the youths are usually seen as Yahoo boys. I heard someone said that 70% of Nigerian youths or students are Yahoo boys. There's a way we could rechannel these potentials of the youths to do something very, very productive if we want to really use them. We could get up to about 180 million naira off rent if we are able to provide work clusters for young people. What we could talk about IT villages, technology village, computer, phones, accessory shops. And if we want to do that, we need to do it in the three geopolitical zones or the three senatorial zones. This will attract banks, it will attract telecom company, private investors, constituency projects can even be part of this too. What these people need basically is just the enabling environment, and you see them work well. For example, you don't really need to give them so much. They can take care of everything, parents on small spaces that you give them, and the kind of millions that are generated in the computer village in Ikeja, it's something that can happen in Benue. This will come by collaborative synergy, and all the people that should collaborate to get this done have been mentioned today. There are so many organizations and all of that. So it's important. But the first step into technology that I can think about is what has been implemented in Lagos, in Cross River State, in Plateau State, and we can do it in Benue. It starts with discovery. You're talking about getting 10,000 people together. Yeah, if you bring them together, we need to make discovery, not just to lump 10,000 people. Some we later discover that that's not their call, or they will now discover which area of technology they want to go into. So as we go up the pyramid to where we get the IT solution or the technology solution, the number will have to be reducing from discovery to incubation, where there's training to innovations, and then those solutions can be derived. And some of the solutions that we're looking out to get could include, but not limited to, productivity. For example, how many civil servants are productive? The technology to make them productive is not rocket science. It's where I work right now in the UK. If you have a 15 minutes break, you tap out and you tap in back in 15 minutes. If you don't come back on time, we are paid per hour, 30 pounds an hour. And then you lose the money for an hour if you are late. So we can start with the government house. We start with the secretariat. Young people in Benue can do this. They have done it everywhere, and you'll be able to get reproductive people using their ID cards and to clock in, which is also tied to your pay, to your spreadsheet. The technology is not something that is rocket science. We're going to need internet sometimes we're going to need intranet, sometimes we're going to need so much of power, but sometimes you could make do with some simple power supplies and get these things to work. So we could enhance productivity with technology in Benue and make sure that things are done well. Land information system. We have, when you talk about no capital for business, for investors, if you have a piece of land and you have your title deeds, it empowers you to get official bank loans. It empowers you to get loans and other things. But I'm not sure how many CFO were signed in Benue in the last 8 years. And so on. So, but if we have something like the Benue GIS, where every piece of land is using the GIS technology, land information system, we're able to know who owns it, when last he paid his property rent. From there alone, government is going to generate so much revenue. You know which areas have to be taxed, which areas are green spaces, which areas are all of that, and so on and so forth. There's going to be real database work to be done too. So that's another way technology can help and create the confidence in investors that when they come to Benue, they'll do that. I look at technicians. If you look at Boko, for example, Boko is a hub for systems, for cars. If people come from Cross River, from Kaduna to fix their cars in Boko, and they'll tell you that when you take your car to Boko, they do the best of body work. Is there a way investors can come together and have a body shop, a paint shop, where if they spray the cars, they're not afraid of rain, because the technology possible that when you're spraying, there's a vacuum that sucks up everything and dries out the car in the next few minutes, kind of tools the young people need to do their job. But when we begin to make work like this lucrative, we begin to bring in technology, not the very, very complex one. You begin to see young people interested in this because it's the same thing they go to do outside, but we need to make it very, very interesting for young people to do it back home. So technology has many ways that can.
Hello, Doc.
It can really help. Value chain, for example, this have dried mango in the shop where I work. It's about 2.9 pounds. That's almost about 9,000 naira. And it can't even fill my palm, very small. But when you come to Boko Road, you go to Benue, you see mangoes on the street, you see them thrown away. And a whole set of mango can be like 500. But from one mango, you could make up to 2 packs of this well packaged using technology that dries it up. And you could get 1,200 instead. So if you look to one side, you can see the mangoes in the basins or in the buckets. Some of them are getting unripe. They are not export ready. You can't use them for anything. To the other side, you see the one that is properly packaged. Technology has dried it up. It has a shelf life of 3 years. You get NAFDAC number. It's export ready, long shelf life.
Hello, Doc. Hello, Doc.
For 250,000 naira.
Hello, Doc. So sorry for want of time. Please try and wrap up so that we'll also try and exit from this side. Please, for want of time.
People will be more even in tune with agriculture that we are talking about. In the slide, you see someone on the system, but it's in the farm because technology is enhancing the kind of work that's done even in the farm. Benue people are making it work everywhere. The IT infrastructure of Federal University Dusema is run by Benue people at the point. University of Calabar is run by Benue people. Benue people are doing well outside the country, everywhere in technology, in IT. If there are ways of getting them together, Benue can be great again. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Priestley. A round of applause for him. Is Dr. Ruth Ebe online? Okay, so quickly we'll just round up. Mr. Gwe will tell us after assessing this. We know this is a collective effort. You have to collaborate if you want technology and innovation to strive. So Mr. Ben, please tell us the role of all the critical stakeholders, government, private partners, the consumers, in the educational system. What role do we have to play?
Well, basically, we're in this together. But first, charity begins at home. If government is serious about ICT or technology, it has to start with itself, looking inward. Number one, government should introduce management information systems in all the ministries. Education management systems, land management system, GIS, and all the caboodle. The benefit of this is this. Some of these, government don't even need to pay for it. Some of these systems are free. They are out there. UNESCO, the education management system is free to any government that wants to implement. You just have to apply for it. So we just have to know where to look. And if we look well, we will bring these systems back. And the advantage of creating e-governance, it impacts on all the citizens. Number one, you have an avenue where your young people could train. Because going to school or college or university in ICT is just not enough. In ICT, your skills speaks for you, not your degree. Your skills speaks for you. So how do you develop those skills? You can go to a college or university and get a certificate, but you need experience. So where do you get this experience if your state or your state government don't have where you can go and practice? Or in our case, in Benue, we don't have industries that are large enough to absorb. So this falls squarely back on our state government. They have to set up an ICT agency. They have to implement management information systems, financial information systems, education management systems, land management systems, revenue management systems. I can go on and on. And then they should look at linking all the local governments to a central control point. Take, for instance, take a ministry, a critical ministry today. Let's go for payroll management system in this state. If there was a fire, would they be able to produce payroll for the month? I doubt very much. No backup solutions. And I can go on and on. So these are challenges, but they are surmountable. And ICT is expensive. However, there are organizations there that are willing to assist developing countries to overcome these challenges with money placed on the table. We can bring Microsoft here. We can bring IBM here. You know, let me wrap it up by saying something. Many years ago, one of the governments asked me to make a review of licenses, Microsoft licenses, that the state government was paying for, but they were never using it. So that money was being wasted. Every year, this state government makes that payment to Microsoft, but those licenses were never being used or utilized. And I recommended that they terminate the contract with Microsoft. Instead, bring Microsoft here to contribute. They have funds for situations like ours. They will put those funds here, they will put the training here. Cisco will also come here, put the training here, and we will, in turn, utilize those skills in propping up our governance, making ease of doing business effective and efficient in this state. Without ICT, we will just be wasting our time. Just one final thought. It's not only in ICT that we have problems. We have problems in technicians and engineers in this state. If you own an industry in this state, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's very, very difficult to find competent hands to do installation, do maintenance. As a matter of fact, there are very, very few people. Some of them are old. We need to train young people in maintenance, in technical schools, to take over from these old people that are on their way out. If we don't do that, we're just playing a lip service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Please, a final, or let me just...
I think to wrap up by answering your question, you talked about the different players in the industry. Let me start with the private sector. 87% of tech industries are in Lagos because of two things: enabling environment. There is a high level of tech graduates or tech persons there, skills there to finance, and also there are a lot of startups, proliferation of startups there. So private sector are not charitable organizations. They can't see the state and just come to put in their money. They want to see that if they put in their own money, they can make profit. And it boils down to the state. First, there should be the willpower to have an ICT policy championed by people who are in the sector, not politicians. That is the first one. The second one, there should need to expand our broadband. I may not always want to invest in Makurdi. I may want to invest in Gwe local government. I may want to invest in L0CAL local government. What is the broadband like? If I go there and a download speed, because the average is 25 Mbps. So if I'm seeing something like 100 or 50 something, I'll leave that place. I will not have to stay. So we need to expand our broadband, and I've explained that we can do that in connection with NIDA at the federal level, knowing that there's already a policy, a 5-year policy for broadband expansion. Then, startups. Startups are those ICT hubs that train. And what is making a lot of tech guys springing up in Lagos, because we have a lot of them, and the government has given them support. So we need to train. The government also can build ICT academy in maybe the senatorial zones, one in Makurdi, one in Otupo, one in Boko, that will train people in this and bring real players, people that are passionate about training people to achieve, not just people that are coming in for the money. If you bring those kind of people, they will get the money and leave, and you will not achieve what you want. So I said ICT policy and digitalization of our ministries and parastatals, meaning from state to local government level, we need an e-governance solution so that we'll have a single hub that will control everything that we are doing. Even the governor will sit in his room and know what is happening in, let's say, in Okwoko local government, or in Obadibo local government, or in Ushongo local government, if we have that. The last but not the least, we have been using phantom data, not only this state, even Nigeria. We need a state identity management commission or something like that. I'm not a fan of duplicating parastatals, but we need something, maybe hiding in a ministry, maybe under Ministry of Finance. I know there's a statistical office there. We need something like that so that we can get the real data. Benue, we're just 4 million people. Facebook is having about 4 billion people, and they have the data of all of us. So 4 million to 6 million is not too much to get. Within 6 months, you can collect everybody's data. And you know when you collect this data, the security people will smile because their job will be easy. The crisis you see in the Sankara area can just be solved because once we collect data, it's not just personal data. We're collecting also your biometric data. And that means through some analysis, forensic analysis, we can catch a thief at no time. Some of these things are not to be said in the public like this. So it's up to us to make this decision, and I believe the director of BIPC will lead this revolution. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. In addition to that, I think government can embark on tax breaks. Am I speaking your mind? Tax breaks. Once in a while, you can at least help the investors or those in private sector to like waive some of the taxes, and as well offer grants. Oftentimes when grants are given, people misuse it, but it's supposed to boost our businesses. So if government will do that, it will go a long way. Then the consumers will also have a role to play. I am a programmer, I'm a graphic designer. But what you observe is that most times we prefer foreign services. We don't have confidence and trust in local products. So we, the consumers, will have to encourage ourselves by patronizing products that are produced locally. That will also help to boost technology and innovation in Benue State. Thank you very much. Then finally, Dr. Akuma, I think this is the last question we'll take, and then we'll wrap up. Briefly just wrap up by telling us the skills that people need to embark on so that that can boost investment in Benue State, technological skills that you encourage people to venture into.
Sorry, I thought I've wrapped up, but because of my height, they are giving me some respect. I think we have certain skills. Data analysis is one of it, because the whole world is generated of data. You hear of big data analytics, you hear of machine learning, you hear of artificial intelligence. The whole thing is to get those raw data we have. We have agricultural data here. We need to process them and make them something that we can make inference out of. So we need a lot of data analysts. In UK alone, the need for it is increasing every day. They need 200,000 every year. In US, the same thing. In Australia and Canada, the same thing. We need business analysts. We need machine learning engineers. We need artificial intelligence experts, which we can train. We need system testers. We don't really have that here. If we have it, to open the market for us in the state and also for other persons. The aim is to have something like a Silicon Valley, maybe an ICT village, a proper one, that will have areas for telecommunication, areas for hardware, and areas for software. Somewhere land can be a mark, and that dream might start. It might not materialize in the next 2 months, 3 years, but it's something that we're going. So we need these people to fill up those spaces. We also need system analysts, computer operators, software engineers, programmers, and software developers. We have startups here that people can register and government can influence so that people can have these skills. Like I say, within 6 months, they should be ready for the job market if they have a proper training. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So in summary, after identifying all this potential, we need to collaborate all the stakeholders so that we could bring up programs that will promote digital literacy so that together it will create room or an enabling environment for technology and innovation to strive in Benue State. So once again, thank you all for your patience, for listening to us keenly. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you very much. A very big round of applause for our resource persons. If we allow them, they will go on and on and on, and we'll continue receiving value upon value. This is huge. I'm sure you're seeing the potentials that the Valley of Benue is sitting on, right? That is untapped. I hope too that the information you have received here is bringing a reawakening in our minds. And as we leave, this forum does not end. It continues to, one, dwell in our minds and propel us to take the needed action of engagement to be able to bring about the change we need. So the chairman of the event has advised that what we want to do with the breakout sessions need to be done meticulously. And so because we have the emails of everybody, he's requested that we should send the tool we developed so that every business person can sit down. You now have an advantage of not sitting alone. You sit with your team and look at the tool and feel it the way it is affecting your business. Hello? So your emails are collected in the registration forms, right? We will send that tool to you. It's a very simple tool around SWOT analysis and pest analysis of the state environment. So you go sit down with your team and fill it and return it to us. Now, if you're a business person and if you're an investor, this is a very important thing for you to do, and you're not going to rush through it, right? Diligently, all the challenges that you have in your mind, all the problems that you're raising, and all the concerns that you have, and what you desire the state to do by way of policy shift, you capture this all. We will take it because what has started A journey of 1,000 miles starts with what? Do not ever think that this forum ends here and what we have discussed here ends. We are going to continue to engage until the results we desire are achieved. Having said that, I'm going to call on 2 goodwill messages. Then invite the president of BESIMA, the chamber president who is in charge of all the entire private sector in Benue, to give us a closing remark, and we will leave. I'm inviting the president of Farmers Association to please come forward and give us a goodwill message. Please give him a round of applause. So you have 2 minutes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would have loved to speak when some of the dignitaries and the figures are here, because we shouldn't see this as a simple game. I want to first of all thank the executive governor of Benue State for deeming it necessary to put up this forum, and those organizers who have also joined hands with them to make sure it becomes a reality. If you look at the hall now, you can discover that the people remaining are the ones that are majorly concerned in lifting Benue from where we are. If I will say, in the discussions of today, everything centered around agriculture. I want to first of all introduce myself to you so that you know who is standing before you. My name is Chief Dr. Ogbo Joseph Douglas. I'm the National President of All Farmers Progressive in Nigeria, and also the Chairman, Chief Executive, J&J Progressive Farmer Nigeria Limited, and also Chairman, Chief Executive, Otogo Farms Nigeria Limited. I want to let you know that we have gone a long way independently to trace the fact that Benue should be our pilot state. As a president of All Farmers Progressive, I happen to come from Benue. When one of the speakers was speaking, he talked about the IGR in Kaduna. We are the brain behind it. If you look at Adama today, we are the brain behind it. And I bring those investors down to Benue here. We spent about 4 days here to intimidate the government about how we can revitalize agriculture in Benue State. Today, we are all talking about the possibility of growing Benue. What are the investors talking about? What are the investors forum talking about today? Everything centered around agriculture. Even when we are having discussions, panel from the ICT, if I will challenge them a little, I want to let them know that ICT spoils our boy more than ever. It's one of the reasons why these boys refuse to go to farm. Because they sit in the comfort of their room and doing Yahoo boys and doing online trading. That is why you see most of them today, they don't do anything. The old ones that are to invest in agriculture, they are too weak. They can no longer go to farm. That is why All Farmers Progressive Association profile a solution to farming in Nigeria by introducing the mechanized system of farming. We can go nowhere if we run away from mechanized farming. We recently launched some tractors in Abuja where we begin to practice it with automation right now in Nigeria. And we want government to key in by giving us enabling environment. We have 4 windows from different countries for us to produce for them to uptake. We are not looking for market in Nigeria to sell our product. And that is why I decided to come down to Benue to make sure that we use Benue as a pilot program. We use Benue as a footstool of making sure that our people. The Malaysia, we have signed an agreement with them for us to produce canals. They are the one to fund it. What of Norway? Last week, we signed an agreement with them. They have the equipment. What of Korea? We have signed an agreement with them. They want to invest heavily on agriculture. And I want to assure Benue today, the epileptic poverty that is ravaging the state will soon come to an end. We have profiled enormous solution to this effect. The reason why young boys and women are running away from farming is because they are still using hoe and cutlass. We are taking this out of the space. And we are bringing in tractors. I want government to pay attention to this. If some of the key people are still here, let them pass it to the governor. We have people who are ready to give us tractors up to 1,000 pieces to make sure we bring them to state here, if only they can stand to guarantee. And within a period of 3 to 4 years, we will pay off. And these tractors can last for 50 years. They will remain in Benue. And when Benue get exhausted, we can ship them to neighboring state. Today you see that Nasarawa state is taking advantage of that. And Benue people are always draining every day, going outside the state to go and look for how they can get a better way for greener pasture. That will not help us much. In this forum today, I want us to build our mind towards building an agriculture in the state. God has dashed us. The whole nation has named us as food basket of the nation. And they went further to give us a university, that is University of Agriculture. But the problem we are having, even those who are in the university and those who are farmers, they don't have a link. They have no link at all. I told all my friends who is a professor, I said, you are a professor of agric. Me, I'm not a professor of agric. I'm putting food in the tables of common men, and you in your house, you are looking for food to eat. Then what is the benefit of you being a professor of agriculture? We have the university, but yet you can buy yam in Benue costly than Nasarawa state. What is the benefit of us being the food basket of the nation? We need to sit up. We need to wake up and embrace this. This is one of the best forums that this governor has bring to bear. And I want him to deviate from political matter. All those types of struggle, fighting for powers and so on, shouldn't come. Let him focus on how we can leverage on the opportunities we're having to develop Benue. I want to submit by saying, we All Farmers Progressive Association have already submitted 23,000 names with land coordinate among 23 local governments in Benue State to the governor. And we have also built up a proposal that will bring funds. We don't need money from government. That can streamline on farmers and practice them to go to farm to make sure that we develop agriculture to benefit the rest of Benue people. Thank you very much, and may God bless you all.
Thank you so much. You can see the passion in his voice, but our time is already fast spent, and we need to move on very quickly to other things. Thank you. And going on with more goodwill messages, we'd like to invite one more person in just a few minutes, in less than 5, 2 minutes, and we'll be done with that. I'd like to invite Mr. Asase from BIRS, if he's in the house, to kindly come forward for his goodwill message very quickly. Thank you. Can we give him a round of applause, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before I proceed, I want to use this opportunity and thank the initiator of this initiative. It is a first of its kind as far as Benue State is concerned. I want to let our investors and potential investors that Benue State Internal Revenue Service, under the leadership of Emmanuel Telumuaguma FCTI, will not encourage illegal tax activities. Tax and tax administration is law. If the law permits or approves, BRS will collect. If the law does not permit, I'm assuring you that BRS will not collect. I'm saying this because some speakers have made mention of multiple taxation and illegal tax activities. Our potential investors, don't be scared. BRS will collect what the extant and domesticated laws approved. As we speak, we have more than 50 Benue sons under the watch of security men. Those guys, they will disguise and impersonate that they are staff of BRS. Stand on the route, collect money from unsuspecting motorists. When you check those arrested, none of us, that is BRS staff, were there. Nobody. So within us, nobody will encourage that. I don't want to talk of other challenges. This is the one that affects us. So we are assuring you that the approved taxes and levies, that is our concern. We are just like errand boys. If the State House of Assembly says, go and collect business premises, we can't say no. Personal Income Tax Act say workers should pay their payee. Who are we to say no? So if there are many taxes, many levies in the approved taxes and levies list, it is not the fault of what? BRS. Where we have challenges, we advise that you approach State House Assemblies when it comes to issues of levies, but then taxes is handled by Joint Tax Board. And I want to explain that there is a difference between tax and levies. So when they are talking of multiple taxes, at times the technical aspect of it, it is not correct. Payments we made are called user charges. For instance, electricity bill, you have light in your house, I don't have. But we are all state government workers. You pay your pay, I pay. When you come to NEPA bill, I don't have light, so I will not pay. What you are paying is not what? Tax. It is called user charge. When you are going to modern market, for instance, you pay 50 naira for using that premises for small cars. If you have a car and you decide to it, nobody will collect 50 naira from you. So some of these things I will say that are taxes or multiple taxation, in the real sense of it, it is not. So let's understand what constitutes tax and what constitutes levies. So from BRS, we are assuring you that we are only going to collect what the law approves. So don't be scared. Come and invest in Benue State. Thank you so much. My name is Asas Joseph Teyima, FCTI. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, BRS. I do not particularly envy your position because you want to absolve yourself away from, the fact that he's just an errand boy. However, the business people want you to take a feedback of their cries to the person who is sending you as well. If you say you will not listen, they will worry to see whether you are fit to be an errand boy. On that note, I'm going to call. I know there are a lot of questions on tax. I'm sorry we don't have the time now. As is here, we can meet him privately and engage with him. So sorry about that. May I invite the president of Bensima, Master Peter Levy Obem, Master Porter Levy Obem Yakubu, MON MPOM FSNA. He is the president of Benue Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture, to come and give us the closing remarks for the event. Sir?
Hello. To God be the glory. We wouldn't be here if not for his kindness, benevolence, and love for us. And to that, I want to give my gratitude first to God, then to the government of Benue State, and our sister agency, being the BIPC, the Arrowhead being the MD, for this unique and epochal event, first of its kind, to assemble, I would say, mad people and mechanics. Hello? One madman in Boko was asked to give the statistics of the mad people in Boko. He said, yeah, it would have been very easy for him to give the statistics. But the mechanics in Boko have confused him. So we have a mixed multitude here. But we treat you as one. We are all mad people. We are all dry bones in the Benue Valley. But I can sense a glimmer of hope. You may hear the rattling in the valley. You may hear the wind of life blowing through the valley. How and why do I say this? If we have pensioners amongst us, if we have civil servants amongst us, investors, traders, market men and women amongst us, you will agree with me that the bones, the dry bones in the Benue Valley are starting to wake up. Hello? What has caused this to happen? There is a resurrection man. Those of you that must have read A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. The resurrection man, in this case, is the driver of the Benue train. And who is this driver? The man of God, the prophet of God, and our able and amiable governor of the state. He has started changing the paradigm of how governance is played out. Hello? I understand from impeccable sources that salaries are being paid as when due. Hello? The pensioners have started smiling. And once the pensioners and the civil servants take their checks home, it lands first in the Wuruku market, where the market women and men are domiciled. Then there is some major ripples in the economy of the state. Most people ascribe Benue State as a civil servant state. That's nonsense. It is not. A lot has been said about agriculture here. And eventually ICT. But you're forgetting the fact that what makes Benue produce from agricultural practices, what makes our produce and products unique, is the presence of solid minerals. That is a sector. That is the endowment Benue has gotten from God that makes us stand out and be home to the best barite, 4.5 specific gravity unprocessed, 3-4 products in one. There is zinc, there is lead, and there is lithium, a source of batteries. There is manganese there too. So a lot in one item. The processed one that is brought in here, imported into Nigeria in the petrochemical industries, is 2.3 or 1 specific gravity, processed. But what God has given Benue is second to none, to his glory. We are home to the best limestone deposits. And as late as 2007, we discovered in faraway China that the clay deposit, the bore clay deposit that Benue has, is one of a kind, different, unique, and special. Go to gold. Our Tortiv was given red carpet treatment recently in South Africa as being the paramount chief presiding over the best gold deposit in the world. What am I talking about? When I started my journey to where I am today as Dajo Poetry International, we used to go to Kankara in Katsina. I'm happy a Katsina man was here and we were whispering. I was telling him what the world knew of kaolin in Kankara, Katsina is nothing to compare with the deposits we have in Benue. Unprocessed, it is 0.09 microns. You don't even have to grind, you don't even have to process. Pure white. So if you go to produce like grains, tubers, fruits, vegetables, is because Benue has an underlay of divine solid minerals. My duty and responsibility as the president of Dajo Poultry International, the president of Benue Chamber of Commerce, Industries, Mines and Agriculture, and the president of Shippers Association of Benue State, is to make Benue, including all of you giving us the requisite support, to make Benue the hub for international ceramic trade. And it's going to happen if the Lord delays in coming in our time. Because the paradigm shift orchestrated by this very, allow me, this is our day. If you are tired, if you are not an investor, you can take your baggage and go. Those that are here want to move Benue from where the dry bones are to where the Lord wants us to be. Leaders of world economy, world power from Benue. God is not a fool to inundate Benue with the best of everything, starting from down up and from up down. This unique occasion today speaks a lot of volumes. Unfortunately, most investors freaked out. We have more empty chairs than those that are occupied. But my joy is that I understand how God works. Starting from Genesis to Revelations. And I'm not preaching any sermon. You will never see anywhere where God uses a crowd. God is not cowed to numbers. He's not intimidated by numbers. One person caused sin to come into this world, and all of us are sinners. Through one person, salvation has come to greet us and make us all children of the Almighty God and heirs of heaven. Amen. What am I saying? We have heard a lot from wonderful speakers, paper presenters, and the talk shops that we just had. What are the take-homes? When we leave here, what happens? I am going to drop few salient comments that will crystallize all this discussion into roadmap for actionable processes and programs that will translate our potentials into tangible assets for our home consumption and for export. Amen. The food basket is endangered. The people of Benue State are endangered. The land is endangered. Not to talk of the economy. Nasarawa has tried to empty our basket. Niger State is doing same. Plateau, what do you call it? Taraba. These are contributors to making our food basket endangered. And how are the people endangered? I wouldn't want to call the Fulanis by name. If you choose to call them by name, it's your own business. But most homes have been sacked. A good chunk of our population has left their ancestral homes and are squatting in IDPs. How can we say the people are not endangered? What has become of the land which I said is endangered? The agricultural practices can never be done on such lands because of intruders that feel we don't deserve to be here. I wouldn't dwell too much into that. How about our economies? I mean, the Benue economy. I know of little boys that came here as apprentices that have now become multi-millionaires that are not of this extraction called Benue State. Hello? I hope I'm talking sense. Our people are deserting the state. My brother over there in uniform made a clarion cry indicating that exodus. I wouldn't say shame on us, but pity on us. But what revolution that this new administration has kick-started will bring all the captives home, all the refugees home, all our sons and daughters that are looking for green pastures elsewhere will come back to the glory of God to make Benue attain our rightful position in the global space. Now, going forward, I want this forum to kickstart a baseline data for all investors in the state. That is the way to go. That is the first step we need to take in this journey to greatness. Let's identify the local investors that are not getting younger, but have given their lives and souls to making Benue State attain greatness through their practices and efforts. It may not be a big number. There are areas Benue State has comparative advantage over. So we pick the local investors in areas of our comparative advantage and then bring them together as this forum has rung the bell or blown the bugle. Let's know their problems. Let's identify these problems. Some of them need just a small push. Some of them need just guarantees, which is what our government can do very easily. If we call Dangote today, Dangote is a creation of governments. Hello? It's not the best of businessmen. But if we get support from government in areas of getting titles for land, getting cheap funds coming in, these issues will be addressed. And let's give a timeline within which, if these problems are attended to, between 1 year and 6 months, we should be able to rake home tangible products that can be proudly exhibited here at the national level and international to rake in customers and cash for the state. Number two, there are syndromes that we've been enslaved by. The us and them syndrome. Us being the government and them being the investors. If there's a program, an investment program, or a business delegation that has to be done, the people that will be sponsored will not be the local investors. Politicians and civil servants who have little or nothing to contribute will be the ones in the business class or first class, as the case may be. That has to change. If you see a Chinese business person here, it is not him you are dealing with. You are dealing with the government of China. Take it or leave it. Touch him, you're touching China. Touch a Benue investor, you're touching Benue government and the Benue people. Let that be done as soon as possible. The syndrome of launch and leave, commission and disappear. There is no farmer that will plant a seed and walk away and expect to come back to harvest. There are issues that need to be attended to. Clearing, weeding, irrigating, application of fertilizers, you name them. But when the government, through banks, call them development or commercial, they give you a loan and take what they can, they just leave you to yourself. And when you cannot perform, they will come back and say, we want to recover. And so all your collateral disappears. That shouldn't be. The lender and the lendee should be in synergy, working together for common good to move your efforts to the next level. Doing first things last and last things first is another syndrome that is detrimental to our progress as an economic giant in slumber. First things should be done first, as we have shown the